What's the one thing you regret doing for your wedding day? Not exactly a regret, but just a reminder to keep things in perspective. Looking at my grandmother's wedding photos, she pointed out her bridesmaids wearing matching hats. She remembered these hats were important and there was some big to do about them. For the life of her, she couldn't remember what exactly, and you certainly couldn't tell from the pictures. Just remember that when you're having heated debates over the correct shade of blue for the napkins. When we got married, I decided to let my bridesmaids wear whatever they wanted. My mum tried talking me into getting them matching dresses, saying the photos would look messy if they wore different things. I'm so glad I ignored her. Our photos look colorful, my friends looked amazing, and I saved a ton of money. Well, we could have had the wedding in fall 2019, but my wife wanted more time to make sure everything was perfect, so we decided to have it in April 2020. A reception line. I got talked into it. I didn't want to do it but felt pressured. All I did for 3/4 of my reception was stand and say hello to people. It was miserable and took a lot of the fun out of the day. Frickin' A. My wife's family insisted on it, and I was pretty ambivalent, so I went with it. By the time we got done with it, the food was all cold, guests had started to leave, etc. Not fricking worth it. Years later, we went to one where everyone went in, ate dinner, and then the bride and groom went table to table. That was why I better. Letting the photographer dictate where we should be for the entire night. Going back, I would have told him do all the photo poses you want in the first hour, then leave us alone. Also would have had someone walk around with us when we said hi to each table to help us get out of drawn out conversations to make it go faster. Oh, that's a good one. About having someone break up the conversation at tables to move you along. Wearing heels. Also letting my sister-in-law convince me to stay at her house the night before instead of a hotel. I slept on a tiny, uncomfortable futon with my giant future husband, and slept maybe an hour. Yes, my wife's grandma was stunned she was spending the night before at our place and kept trying to get her to come sleep at her grandma's house on the couch, and my wife shot her down quick. Slept an hour bed the night before and got a good night's rest before a long butt day. Letting my ex-mill dictate pretty much everything. It stopped being our wedding and became her wedding. And she is crazy. The whole wedding was no longer focused on my wife and I, but my mill handing my wife off to me. Which is really ironic because after that moment Mill became even more controlling. Some things she did. She had a mommy-daughter dance. Made an 30-minute long speech about raising my wife, including playing several inappropriate baby videos. Made a toast to herself. Cut the cake with my wife, tossed the bouquet herself, tried to outcast my small family, party of 6, to the corner, departed the wedding in our limo with us. This is the weirdest one. The bridal lingerie literally said mommy's girl. The wedding was ruined for me. The worst part? It set a precedent that my mill can do whatever she wanted in our relationship and my wife would always choose her side. This eventually caused a split after Mill spanked the heck out of my daughter and my wife took her side. It just kept getting worse with each bullet point. Letting a homeless guy into our reception venue to use the restroom. Half hour later, he's still in there. A few of my guests jimmied the door open and found him passed out on H. We had a homeless guy come into our wedding and was let in by the uppity wedding planner because he was wearing a Jack Daniels shirt and our minister family is named Jack Daniels. True story. He signed our wedding book Wish I Was Getting Married and then stole my bridesmaid's wallet in the aforementioned planner's car. So, you know, a memorable day. I regret not hiring a DJ. It's not only music, they help with the flow of the wedding. Flower toss, first dance, money dance, whatever you want. We cut corners where we could and that was one I regret. I wrote this in another comment, but a good DJ is important. A professional DJ know how to read the crowd and set the mood. You can have a playlist and try running it from a phone, but any DJ knows that no matter how you plan in advance how the audience will react, it never goes that way and you have to quickly switch it up. My husband and I went off alone to be married in the woods. No regrets on that, but I regret not going further off trail for the actual vow exchange. A lady on a horseback yelled at me that the white thing on your head is scaring my horse. That was the universe giving you a golden opportunity to tell someone frick you and the horse you rode in perfect context. I should have made my wife eat her meal. We sat at the table alone and chatted while everyone else was eating, and she said she wasn't very hungry after eating like 1/4 of her plate. Turns out that half hour was the only 30 minutes of the day she wasn't hungry. I finally went downstairs and got her a plate of hors d'oeuvres after her trying to politely sneak down for 2 hours. They spirited her food away some points after dinner, and she still regrets not getting to eat the great food we picked out. Yes, same happened to me. Dang efficient catering workers. I turned my back for a second and my plates kept disappearing. I loved our baker and I was excited for months about the cake, only to get one bite of it on the day. In all honesty, I regret dancing so much. We danced so much, we forgot to go around to individually thank everyone for coming. They all came to us on the dance floor to say hello. 10/10 still dancing. I was a guest at a wedding where the bride and groom were glued to the dance floor, and I was so happy they were having fun and enjoying their day. Weddings are so often about what you're supposed to do, when really it should be your day to celebrate as you see fit. Tiny wedding in a beautiful state park. I forgot the rings in the car and my dad was kind enough to jog back and get them. That's the only regret I have for that day. I first read that a skate park. Getting separated from my wife while at the wedding. She went to the bathroom and then got swarmed by friends and family and she disappeared what seemed like hours. Also, in general, getting pulled away from each other when I would get a drink or talk to someone. The reason I regret it is because my wife looked so absolutely stunning that day and I just wanted to look at her the entire time. My wife is still hot, but something about that dress. This is one of the most romantic comments on this post. 3. Actually, it's not doing something. My wife's uncle, as our wedding gift, hired the DJ. I wanted to talk to the DJ to make sure that he'd have the songs we wanted. Don't worry about it, he has everything, so I didn't. Don't get me wrong, he did a good job, it's just that he had every song but the couple that meant something to us. Getting a crappy photographer my mom recommended, someone from her church. As we're taking pre-wedding pictures, part of the wedding picture package, I asked him during one of the breaks what got him into photography. He answered, it's just something to do while I try to open my restaurant. That should have been the red flag. Same here, and it sucks. It's hard to find someone decent that doesn't cost thousands of dollars. I opted for a $200 family friend and regret it to this day. Not eloping and leaving my mother-in-law in the dark. I could have had hair and makeup done, could have had the dress of my dreams, and may even have pictures on my walls from a day I loved. I had none of those things and it still hurts. Same here, but my mom and not my mill. We had a quickie courthouse ceremony because I didn't want her alcoholism to ruin a nice wedding, and she managed to ruin it anyway. No dress, no cake, pictures, nothing. The marriage turned out pretty great, though. I hope yours did, too. Not eloping. Our wedding was relatively small and inexpensive, less than 10k, less than 60 guests, but we could have spent that money on a sweet beach elopement and doubled up our honeymoon to be 2 weeks. I also regret not eloping and am relieved to see others do too. Neither of us was really into having a wedding, but we caved to family pressure and FOMO. Parts of it were fun, but lots were awkward and stressful, and I think it was obvious that our hearts weren't in it. Having won, the marriage was enough for us, but we were pressured into having a wedding. It was fine, I guess, but I wish we would have just gone on a better, longer honeymoon. My wife and I had a couple try and crash our wedding during the reception. Looking back, I might have just let them stay. I wanted a small event for about 20 people. My fiancé agreed, but then her mom insisted they have a lot of very close and important family members they just have to invite. So we agreed on a bigger wedding, but parents supposed to pay. We searched for a wedding venue and estimated a cost for 90 guests, less than 30 were from my side of the family, but everyone was happy about it, including me at this point. They all agreed for the costs except my mom, who was widowed for 10 years at this point and couldn't afford it, so I offered I'll cover her part myself. I was working abroad and sending most of my money to my future wife and let her organize everything and trusted with whatever she was doing with that money. A few months before the wedding was due and I came back to my country, I discovered my money covered the whole wedding. Her parents ghosted the subject. That marriage didn't hold up. I calculated how much money I've put into the wedding just because of my ex-mother-in-law's delusional thinking, and I'm still goddamn mad at this waste of money. Also, only 20 members of my family showed up against 60 of hers. That totally had to be invited, and the ratio of money in the envelopes from both sides was still 50-50. I'm even more mad. Parents who try to control their kids' wedding make me mad. I get it. It's a special day for them too, but it's not their special day. I absolutely adored my wedding. If I would change one thing though, it would have been to hire a hair and makeup artist. My mill did my hair and it was fine, and I did my own makeup and it was fine. But I wish I had just let myself spend that little bit extra on myself looking back. Even though we did get caught in the rain, so it all would have been ruined the same either way, haha. Made for a fabulous waterfall photo though. My regret is having someone do my hair and makeup. I could have done a better, more me job than the professional my mum knew. I thought it would feel nice and a bit luxurious if someone else did it, but it just felt plastic and weird. We did have an incredibly low cost outdoor wedding though, so the more done hair and makeup was really out of place. And the July heat didn't help it either. Stuffing cake in my wife's face. No exaggeration. I regret it to this day. One of the traits of a successful marriage is to protect your spouse. With words, with your actions. Protect in this case has the meaning of upholding their dignity, their honor, etc. Shoving cake in their face is not doing any of that, and it's very public. Don't do it. Plus it messed with her makeup. I really wish I hadn't. Pro tip. My wife refused to let cake be smashed in her face. My family really wanted cake smashed in her face. They were calling out, "Smash it. Smash the cake," including my 11-year-old cousin. So I called him over, and I smashed it in his face. He loved it. My wife loved it. The crowd loved it. Pick a designated smushy. Folks, solves all problems. Posing for pictures. Ended up putting so much energy into getting perfect pics we didn't spend time in the moment. Just ask your photographer to do candid shots only and focus on enjoying the day. Your pics will be great whether you try hard to have perfect photos or not, and you won't look at the album nearly as often as you might think. We couldn't afford a wedding photographer at the time of the wedding, so we had candid photos from some nice friends. Then about a year later we had makeup wedding photos, and got all dressed up and tramped out into the woods with a professional. It really turned out great and so much fun. I would move speeches to before dinner is served. People are quicker when they're hungry and not drunk yet. I personally wouldn't bother with the first dance. We're not dancers. It was really freaking awkward. The one thing I would recommend to everyone is having party bombs, like mini indoor firework, and inside their silly stuff to play with. We had groups of people from different places who didn't know each other. It was a brilliant icebreaker and so much fun. Well, not the wedding day precisely, but the next day. A. Frick Carnival Cruises, and B. What idiot books their honeymoon travel requiring them to get up at 6 AM the day after the wedding? Oh wait, us. We're the idiots. Other than that, my wife is a phenomenal planner, so our only real regret day of, and after, was relying on other people for key points of transportation. My best man was an hour late picking me up. Unclench. I planned on being there hours early to help the vendors set up, so I wasn't anywhere close to late for the wedding. Then my parents were late getting us to the airport for our honeymoon flight, and we almost missed the flight, and B. the bus to the cruise line because of delays. Shout out to the limo driver with the 1920s rolls who was driving my wife and the bridesmaids mill before the wedding, and the two of us after, though. He and the car were top notch. Things we did not regret. Not overspending on flowers. Our florist was amazing at working within a fairly tight budget, giving her a dollar range and very general color theme instead of demanding specific flowers paid incredible dividends. She was able to build amazing displays that weren't very expensive at all and tied in beautifully to the venue. The only thing my wife really had her heart set on was mango calla lilies for her bridal bouquet, but we gave orange roses to the bridesmaids and everything looked brilliant. Getting the drink upgrade package. Venue specific, but the difference between full open bar versus 3 bottles of wine on each table and cash bar was like $3 per guest. Kind of a no-brainer. Venue. To each their own. But if you're near any kind of wine country, it's shocking how reasonable prices are for events. Competition in a free market occasionally does work for consumers. Rustic stacked stone barrel house with outdoor string lighting. Full catering and the ambience of a vineyard in late September. All for about $10 K all inclusive. Beat the heck out of the local golf courses, Elks Lodge, and other venues we looked at in terms of both absolute price and what we got for our money. A great DJ. Seriously, whoever DJs is going to be more than half of the time your guests remember. Get some personality and someone you can count on to lead the event. I had a slight advantage there since I used to work as an event DJ and hired the guy I used to work for. Friend as a photographer. He's a great artist when he's not passed out at the reception. I wish I had any photos worth keeping. See, friends make great backup photographers. I've taken some great photographs at weddings, but I'm glad it was never my job. I completely misread my spouse's playfulness and shoved cake into her face, going way up her nose. A decade later I can still hear the groans of disappointment from everyone nearby. I didn't do this because my dad gave me the advice not to. I'm glad I didn't. I regret not turning around to watch my wife walk down the aisle. It was an outdoor wedding with no music, and I was told to stare at the nearby ruins so I didn't accidentally see my wife as she made her way to the back of where we had the ceremony. With no cue, I had no idea when to turn until she tapped me on the shoulder and giggled a small hi. Her dress was amazing, and the ceremony went well amidst a surprise downpour, 2 hours earlier than expected, but I really wish I had been able to watch her walk the aisle. That's so sad. As a wedding photographer, one of the key shots of the ceremony is the groom's first look as the bride approaches the aisle. I'm sorry you didn't get more time to watch your beautiful bride. Thinking it was so important to get all of my family there. In retrospect, those that had to be convinced and accommodated shouldn't have been there. I didn't get to eat the hors d'oeuvres. I was so excited about them, especially the tiny beef Wellingtons. Was so busy taking pictures and then getting to the main course I forgot to get any. I also forgot to get drunk. I had maybe 1 or 2 drinks. It was such a busy day. I kinda wish I could have gone as a guest. I can blame Reddit for this one. Instead of individual party favors, we made a donation to a local animal rescue organization, and they then brought a puppy party, 2 puppies, already adopted, to the reception. I mentioned this on a wedding sub and people mobbed me about it, so I took all sorts of extra precautions about where they would be, told the photographer not to take any photos to discourage them being treated as props, etc. Mostly they were good steps, but I went overboard and I wish more people could have enjoyed their adorableness and raised awareness of the org. Reddit people will mob you just for doing anything, do not trust them. Having a cake because you have to have a cake. Our dinner was fairly late and came with dessert, and then an hour later there was cake that literally everyone was too full to eat. I dunno. This sounds like the perfect way to take the whole cake back for yourself and your partner. For some god unknown reason my mother recommended my dad and I dance to Sunrise, Sunset from Fiddler on the Roof. I was in a hurry and took her word for it. OMFG, what I wouldn't give to just dance to literally anything but Longest Bus Song. I was visibly in pain. Woof, beautiful song, but it's so slow, it barely has a beat. That's a lot of awkward swaying. Making sure I said hi to everyone. I remember a table with my husband's aunt and cousin who I had never met, and as I walked past I realized later they were getting ready for me to come over and say hi. I had just got done walking away from my stepmom who was causing all kinds of drama, and it didn't dawn on me until later that I didn't make sure I said hi to them. It was a very small wedding and I said hi to a lot of them, but I know I missed a few and regret it. Oh, and ignoring all drama. I had an amazing night, but I should have ignored my stepmom and I should have made my maid of honor take a cab instead of being her DD on my wedding night. allowing other people to decide who was invited. I was trying to be fair to everyone, but the list of people my husband was told he had to invite was enormous. We had a rather small venue, only able to accommodate 80 people, and that list took up more than half of that. I had to make cuts, which of course made me Bridezilla, but like, I'm sorry, your neighbor that I think is creepy and intrusive can't come. I regret not making a bigger stand though, because I'll look back at my pictures and there's so many people I still don't even know who they are. Several that I did but didn't want there in the first place, and so many missing that I wish I could have invited but didn't have a spot for. TBH, I regret my dress. It wasn't my favorite and I only got it cause it was priced for $150. I didn't have much money, so I cut costs where I thought would be fit and thought the dress should be cheap considering how I'd only wear it for one day. If I could do my wedding over again, I'd splurge to feel like a princess. On my final fitting day I sobbed because I hated it so much, but at that point, there was nothing I could do. Rushing through it, I had all the things we needed to do as a checklist in my brain and I was just going through checking them off instead of enjoying all the moments. Now I see pictures and remember the little moments. Thankful for a wonderful photographer who was also a friend, but I do wish I had done it at the time. Don't do the box cameras on the tables thing that you develop later. Be glad you have a camera in your hand at all times, instead of this disaster. We developed this pile of anonymous cameras, and to say we didn't expect what we saw would be an understatement. Invited everyone back to our new house to BBQ. Was exhausted after the wedding, then had to cook for 50 plus people, who talked all night, wouldn't leave and trashed our house. The next day we cleaned all day long. Our families rarely get together, so we wanted to make it a big family thing. We have never done it again, lol. I will be reading through this list for sure. I'm recently engaged. We're not planning yet cause COVID, but we're definitely cutting things for money. It will be interesting to see what people who are already married felt was important on the day of. Then, I would say not giving more money for booze up front because we ran out and my in-laws quietly added $2,000 to the bar tab during the reception, which I'm sure cut into their fun a bit. Now, the groom. I thought I wouldn't want it, but now I wish I had hired a videographer. My pictures are amazing, but I would have liked to be able to watch it. Getting married in a church. It was okay and didn't ruin our day at all. Both of our parents are Catholic, and it just made everything easier to make our parents happy. But it got weird when they asked us to promise to have children and we were like no. We had a ceremony that meant nothing to us, for our parents, and a reception for us after. Played pickup basketball with wedding guests the morning of. Played too competitively in like 90+ degree heat. Everyone who played was just too gassed to keep the party going late night. Not renting my wedding dress. What a huge waste of moai to look great for 2 hours. Besides, I had a boy so couldn't even pass it down. I sold my dress. I bought it knowing I was going to sell it, and so I splurged a little more on it than I originally planned. After selling it, I had paid only what I budgeted for it. Plus, the person who bought it sent me a picture from their wedding day and it was so wonderful to see that beautiful dress make another person's day. Not eloping. I just had a no-frills courthouse wedding. It did the job, but the magistrate was really serious. It might have been better it was some Elvis impersonator. My partner and I haven't really got any plans to get married, but if we are ever in Vegas, we are definitely doing that. Or a drive-through wedding. So wrong. It's right. If you are new to the channel, you can subscribe. I publish new videos every day. Until then, check another video. Bye for now.